my friends. August the 8th, 2026. This is the Dr. Sem Yankees show. And it's the Dr. Sem Yankees and other stuff show. I have a box here. I forgot to bring it over. Last week we showed you a game I enjoy playing with my wife, and I'm going to show you another great board game today. We also have some packs of 1988 Topps baseball cards. We learned a little bit last week. Willie Upshaw, former Yankee farmhand, was picked up by the Blue Jays. You know, any baseball fan my age remembers Willie Upshaw as a Blue Jay, and you remember that he had been a Yankee farmhand first, but I'd forgotten that he went to the Blue Jays in the Rule 5 draft. That's what we learned last week. But let's begin, as we begin every week, with some words of encouragement. My dear friends, let's make today a great day. And how do you make your day great? It's simple. It's easy. All you need to do is look for the good. If you find the good, you can't help but have a great day. If you don't look for the good, I'm seeing a lot of reflections in my glasses today. What if we did it without glasses? That'd be interesting. And then I can make even the screen a little brighter. I've been moving the screen down. So we'll see what we can do. I don't wear glasses normally. I just wear them when I'm reading. And when I'm on the computer and doing research and things, can't really see well when it's up close stuff anymore. But anyway, when we do nice things for other people, you can't help but have a great day. You look around the world, you take the good, you see the good, you appreciate the good, and you cherish that in your heart. That's how you make each day great. But if you can't find something good to do, do something nice for somebody else. That is a great way to do good and to make good and to share good. Now, this is going to be the problem. Can I get the right? Yes, I can without any glasses. Reminder, this show is brought to you by Artemisia Publishing. Artemisia is a great publisher who has published many of my books. In fact, one of the most popular books I wrote right now is this one here, 365.2, Going the Distance, A Runner's Journey. This is the book about the year that I decided to run every single day, and I did. And the book is a story of me running every day for a year, but more, it's a book about motivation. If there is something that you would like to accomplish and you don't think you can accomplish it, well, the thing to do then would be to read 365.2. That book should inspire you to understand that there are no limits, or at least we can reduce the limits in our lives. You can do more than you ever thought. Of course, they also published the award-winning The Least Among Them, the award-winning From Compton to the Bronx, the award-winning Scattering the Ashes, the greatest novel ever. Of course, The Least Among Them and Scattering the Ashes are both also on Spotify. So if you go to Spotify, you can actually hear the audio of each of those books. My newest book by Artemisia is The Greatest New York Yankees by Uniform Number. So let's jump into what happened this last week. A week ago, I was here talking to you about the trade deadline. And I said, if the Yankees are going to be active, I hope they're active and they get legitimate good players. I said, I hope they don't get players where you have to squint, stand upside down, parse statistics, and go crazy in order to figure out if that player is good or not. So what did the Yankees do? They went out and they got two guys that you have to stand upside down, parse statistics, squint your eyes, and say, is this guy really any good? And they got two guys who are pretty good, but they didn't get guys who are difference makers. This is what it comes down to. And I wrote a great article about this that was published, of course, on Start Spreading the News, the greatest Yankees site that's out there. The one that has really the most original content and the most varied perspectives, the most varied views. We have a large staff of writers. And I never tell them what to write. They all write what they feel is correct. And that's unlike most other sites that have narratives We don't have a narrative. I have narratives, I have beliefs, but those are not necessarily the same as other people. But the Yankees, and I wrote an article, this is what I'm saying about the Dodgers, and I mentioned this in the article about the Dodgers. The Dodgers shop at all of the big stores. If you were to be a Dodger, you'd be shopping on Fifth Avenue in New York City. The Yankees, they're shopping, I don't know, at discount marts, trying to find the player who, just might be the guy if everything goes right. But the Dodgers, they go out when they're going to make a deal and they get the guy who is great. And the frustrating thing about the Yankees, and I've said this many times, many times, the frustrating thing about the Yankees is they didn't used to be this way. The Yankees used to be the gold standard. Now the Yankees are, as we have said, and as I should copyright it, they want to be a little bit better than pretty good. And I don't think anybody wants that from anybody else in their lives. The Yankees are content being a little bit better than pretty good. And the Yankee fans who support them no matter what, and I wish I was one of them. I wish I could see the Yankees always through rose-colored eyes or rose-colored glasses. But I'm a realist. The Yankees have won one World Series since 2001. That's just not very good. In fact, that's bad. And the Yankee fans, the ones who want to celebrate everything they do, well, those fans say, yes, but they're always over 500. There was a time when that wasn't the Yankee goal. That was not what they celebrated. They didn't celebrate being a little bit better than pretty good. The Yankees used to celebrate excellence, greatness. The goal was simple: win. Win and win a World Series. In 1998, when the Yankees won all those games, and I think it was 114 in the regular season. I could look it up, but I can't see the numbers without my glasses. So I think it was 114. Do you remember that year? The Yankees then said, we need to win the World Series or it's meaningless. In order to show that this was a great season, the only way to prove that this was a great season is to win the World Series. Today, they wouldn't think that way. Today, they would say, we won 114 games. I know we lost in the playoffs, but we won 114 games. And isn't that great? Shouldn't you all be satisfied? We really did well. We're very proud of ourselves because we won so many games. That's the attitude today. We won 96 games and we came in first place, or we won 89 games and we were over 500 and we made the wild card game. That's how the Yankees operate. They want to be just a little bit better than pretty good, but they don't want to be great. They do not strive for excellence. They have not strived for excellence in a long time. And I have said that Brian Cashman is a good GM. He used to be great. He had the chance to be elite, but he threw that all away to try to make the Yankees, this is their mode, a little bit better than pretty good. The Yankees have gone from greatness to goodness. And of course, there's the great book, Good to Great. that many industries use, and schools and places where they'd like to succeed, people read that book. I had my teachers read that book when I was a principal, because it's all about setting a higher goal, being better. But that's not the Yankees today. That's not their goal. Their goal is to be just a little bit better than pretty good. Under the Brian Cashman era and the Hal Steinbrenner era, the Yankees have become a little bit better than pretty good. And again, that's not something we expect or want or value in almost anything else. If your doctor was once great and now is just a little bit better than pretty good, you would probably find another doctor. If your trash collector used to be great and now is only a little bit better than pretty good, you'd probably complain. If your lawyer was like that, if your child's teacher was like that, if your auto mechanic was like that, in almost every aspect of life, we expect those people who work for us or perform services for us to be great. We would not be satisfied if they just became, especially if they had once been great, a little bit better than pretty good. But that's the legacy. The Yankees have gone from here to here. They've downgraded. It's irrefutable. You cannot argue it. And that is the legacy of Brian Cashman and Hal Steinbrenner. That's how they are going to be remembered. I don't know if they truly understand and appreciate that, but that will be their legacy. We took a franchise that was great and we made it somewhat better than mediocre. We lowered the expectations of the fans. We made the organization worse. We didn't make it better. You can't argue they made it better. You cannot argue that. They haven't made it better. They've made it worse. And when people look back in history at the era when Hal Steinbrenner and Brian Cashman ruled the Yankees, the only conclusion you can come to is they won a lot of games because they were always a little bit better than pretty good. They made the playoffs often, but they didn't very often win the World Series, which used to be the way the Yankees operated. And you'll look at the rosters and you'll say they brought in some really good players, some great players, but they always left areas empty. They made the team pretty good. They didn't make the team great. And when people talk about, and it's not his fault necessarily, but when people talk about the four greatest Yankees of all time, who should be on the Yankee Mount Rushmore? The answer is always going to be Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig, Joe DiMaggio, and Mickey Mantle. I know people would like Derek Jeter to be on there, but no, Derek Jeter wasn't better than any of them. I know people would like Mariano Rivera to be there, but he wasn't any better than them. Those men were the greats of the greats. And some people have been arguing that Aaron Judge belongs on that Yankee Mount Rushmore. And they actually make the point that he should take Joe DiMaggio off. What are you, crazy? Joe DiMaggio was a winner. Now, if we were talking strictly statistics, and Aaron Judge isn't quite Joe DiMaggio yet, But if we were talking strictly statistics and we were fans of any other franchise, including the Dodgers, the Cardinals, the Mets, the Red Sox, the Orioles, the Tampa Bay Rays, the Miami Marlins, the Texas Rangers, the Houston Astros, the San Diego Padres, the Pittsburgh Pirates, whomever, and you wanted to put up your Mount Rushmore, you could make the argument maybe with those same exact guys, with those same exact statistics, maybe you could make the argument that Aaron Judge might belong on there at the expense of one of those other guys. Not yet, but maybe if he puts up a couple more big seasons. But when you're talking the Yankees, there is no way Aaron Judge goes on that Mount Rushmore. Because when it's the Yankees, you don't just have to be great. You have to be a winner. And Babe Ruth was a winner. And Lou Gehrig was a winner. And Mickey Mantle was a winner. And Joe DiMaggio was a winner. And Derek Jeter was a winner. And Mariano Rivera was a winner. And Yogi Berra was a winner. And those guys would also rank ahead of Aaron Judge because to date, Aaron Judge has won as many World Series as I have. Think about that. Aaron Judge has won as many World Series as you have, except if you're a former Yankee or a former Major Leaguer who's been on a World Series team. But for the vast majority of the audience, think about that. And much of the blame for that goes to the way the Yankees have been run by Brian Cashman and Hal Steinbrenner. But you cannot be on the Yankee Mount Rushmore if you've never won a World Series, or even if you've only won one. I dare say even if you've only won two. And it's unlikely that Aaron Judge is going to win more than 2 World Series over the course of the rest of his career. That's just not how the Yankees operate, because they don't operate to be great. The Dodgers do, the Yankees don't. And again, I don't think they truly understand this. But in the end, history is the judge, not Aaron Judge, the judge of us all. How we're remembered historically, how these guys will be remembered in baseball history. And the way Brian Cashman and Hal Steinbrenner will be remembered in baseball history was they were the architects, the owner and the general manager of the Yankees when the Yankees changed their business model from greatness, from being the best, to only being pretty good or a little bit better. And that's just not something to be proud of. Again, that would be something to be proud of if you were the GM and the owner of the Phillies or the Mets or the Red Sox or the Tampa Bay Rays or the Baltimore Orioles or the Detroit Tigers or the Toronto Blue Jays or any other team. Then you could be proud of it, but not when you're the general manager and the owner of the Yankees. The way people look back on the Yankees of the 1960s and early 70s before George Steinbrenner took over the team is the similar way. They're going to say, well, this team was better because they were always over 500. They were never in last place. They were always in it. So, right. But it's an empty period. And that's the era that we're in right now. And that's how Brian Cashman and Hal Steinbrenner are going to be remembered. They're going to be remembered as the people who brought the Yankees down. No one celebrates that in any aspect of their lives. If you have a spouse who's a great cook and then becomes a mediocre cook, you're going to be disappointed. You're going to say, what happened? Why aren't you so good at that anymore? In any type of profession, In any aspect of our lives, we strive for greatness, to be better. That's the model. That's what it's all about. How can I be better? And the one exception for that for Yankee fans is the Yankees don't operate that way. They don't think that way. That's not what they drive at. They drive at being a little bit better than pretty good. And that's just not inspiring. Now, I know their bank accounts keep going up. I know the Yankees are making money hand over fist. I know for the people running the team and just looking at stock options and their own personal earnings, they're going, we're doing great. This is awesome. But one day fans are going to wise up to this, and they're going to say, why am I a Yankee fan? What makes the Yankees more special than any other team? And the only thing is their history. But their history isn't today. Today, they're a boring club. They're a team that is redundant. They're a team that hits home runs sometimes and otherwise can't score runs. They're a team that's fundamentally bad. They're a team with a manager who's in over his head in his 9th season. They're a team that's not honest about injuries. They're a team that has the manager say that his shortstop is effing elite, only to see that shortstop, Anthony Volpe, go to the minor leagues. I made this point, and I don't have much time to really get into this. Go to Start Spreading the News, and you'll see the article. It's about when Anthony Volpe and Jason Dominguez got sent down and George Lombard was brought up. The Yankees keep trying to sell us on the next great Yankee. Oh, let me tell you, this guy, he's going to be great. And now they're doing that with George Lombard Jr. Oh, my goodness. He's the answer. He's the best. George Lombard Jr. is the best. That's what they keep telling us. And then when it doesn't work out, when that guy gets sent back to the minors because the Yankees either over-exaggerated, overhyped, or ruined the player by how they groomed him or treated him or coached him in the major leagues, that player's life gets ruined while the guys who run the Yankees just go about their business and seem to have no accountability. I'll be the general manager next year. I'll be the manager next year. I'll be the owner forever. Now, maybe George Lombard Jr. is going to be great. Maybe he's going to be amazing. I hope he is. That's everybody's hope. But if he's not, in 3 years, when he gets sent down and the Yankee fans get excited about the next bright, shining object, because that's what the Yankees do. Look at Anthony Volpe. Look at Anthony Volpe. He's so great. Here he is. Wait, don't look at him. Look at George Lombard. Forget Volpe. I know we told you about him, but don't look at him. No. That's old news. We were wrong. I don't think we were wrong. He was great. He was effing elite. But the guy who's really elite is George Lombard Jr. And if he doesn't work out, because most of these guys on the Yankees never work out, it'll be the next bright, shining object. Somebody they drafted this year or next year. Oh, forget Lombard Jr. Bill Topps, this guy. I know, Lombard, but he was never really a top prospect. He was never truly the guy. We thought he might do it, but we weren't quite sure after 3 years of telling you how great he is. And then when fans or writers notice that that player isn't doing very well, some Yankee fans then say, why do you hate him? Why are you a hater? And I've explained this many times. No, nobody hated Anthony Volpe. Nobody hates Jason Dominguez. We're Yankee fans. We want them to succeed. We want them to help the Yankees win a World Series. But we get frustrated when we're sold a bill of goods over and over and over again. And some fans just go from one to the next. I know he was going to be great and he wasn't, but I know you're right. This time he's going to be great. And they never take a minute to go like, how many times have the Yankees gaslit us? How many times have the Yankees told us a story that's just not true? Have they oversold a prospect? I mean, how many times? And I tried to explain that the Anthony Volpe so-called hate was never directed at Anthony Volpe. It was directed at the Yankees, who were doing a terrible job with their supposed can't-miss prospects. You know, as these guys are coming up and as they're on the precipice, you know, Brian Cashman's like, I could have acquired Ty Cobb, Babe Ruth, Hank Aaron, Bob Gibson, Satchel Paige, Josh Gibson, Lou Gehrig, Walter Johnson, and whomever else. Like, I can get the greatest players in the game, but I'm not going to trade Spencer Jones. You want me to trade Everson Pereira? I'm not comfortable with that. You really expect me to trade Estevan Florial? No way. Oswald Cabrera or Peraza? Those guys? No way. We wouldn't trade them. Mike Ford? Are you kidding? You'll give us, I don't know, Mike Trout for Mike Ford? Yeah. Mike Trout and who else? Not for Mike Ford. Are you kidding? Mike Ford's going to be a superstar. Tyler Austin? Who are you going to give us for Tyler Austin? Justin Verlander? Yeah, right. We wouldn't trade 4 Verlanders for 1 Tyler Austin. That's how the Yankees operate. These guys, they're untouchable. They're so good. They're going to be great. And then they're not. And then they just move on. I know. No, don't look at that. Don't look over there. Look at this guy. This guy's going to be great. And I'm surprised that the fans still buy it. I really am. I'm shocked, in fact. All right, we're getting late here. Let me put the glasses on. I can't see. 28 minutes. Oh, my. I wanted to share a game with you. If you like playing games, this one's great. Nobody sponsors these. I'm not promoting any company or anything. But this game, Welcome to Your Perfect Home. I call it Remember the Neighborhood when we play it. It is a fun game. You build neighborhoods. Is that upside down? It is. You build little neighborhoods by drawing cards and deciding which objects the houses in your neighborhood get. It is a blast. It's one of my wife and I's favorite games. So last week I showed you the game about the subway in London. I see it across the room from me, but I can't read the title. This week, the game I highly recommend is Welcome to Your Perfect Home. Well, here we are. We're at the bottom of the hour. Should we do a quick baseball card look? Let's do a quick pack. Glasses go on. 1988 Topps. Bubblegum still in the pack. We're going to go through this one quicker because we don't have a lot of time. Here we go. Former Yankee Damaso Garcia. Jeff Robinson, pitcher. I believe that's the same Jeff Robinson that also pitched for the Yankees. Maybe not. Might have been 2. Oh, here's a great player from that era, Will Clark. Here's a great conversation one day. Who's better, Will Clark or Don Mattingly? Which one of those 2 guys would you put in the Hall of Fame? Ken Schramm. I remember when he was a Blue Jay. Bruce Benedict, big catcher. Remember when he was a Brave, and he was a Brave. Franklin Stubbs, power hitting, left-handed hitting first baseman. Here's a former Yankee. He was going to be great. Now, I can't blame the Yankees for these guys because it's different people who are hyping these guys, but a Bergen County boy, Danny Pasqua, still before he was a Yankee. He was traded, I believe, to the Chicago White Sox for Rich Dotson. Oh, here's a great Yankee. Now, that's a good card. One of the greats of all time, Rickey Henderson. I loved Rickey Henderson when he was a Yankee. I remember in 1989, I was driving for a dry cleaner. I'd get the dirty clothes in bags, bring them to the place where they would clean them, pick up the cleaned press clothes on hangers, drive them to the places where the people had dropped them off originally, and listening on the fan, and the fan was relatively new, almost brand new back then, that the Yankees had traded Rickey Henderson. And I'm like, what? How do you trade Rickey Henderson? What are you doing? And what they get? Luis Polonia, Greg Cadaret, and Eric Plunk, as I remember. And I'm thinking, what? Huh? What? I mean, if you were going to trade Rickey Henderson back then for, I don't know, Tony Gwynn or Wade Boggs or Will Clark or whatever, you go, all right, that might make sense. But you're trading Rickey Henderson for Greg Cadaret, Eric Plunk, and Luis Polonia? What are you, out of your minds? That was a terrible trade. A couple other guys. Jose Oquendo. Remember when he was a Met? Here's Rich Yet. Here's something. Imagine being the younger brother, Billy Ripken. Imagine your brother's Cal Ripken Jr., one of the greats of all time. Oh, boy. A lot of guys to think about in this box. Imagine being this guy, Billy Buck. Not his fault. He should have been taken out in the 86 World Series, and they should have put Dave Stapleton, a better fielder, at first base. The guy was hurting. What major leaguer hasn't had the ball go through his legs? And that was not the winning run. It was only game 6. But boy, oh boy, for the rest of his life, he had to live with that. Bill Schroeder, Keith Hughes, who had been a Yankee prospect. Let's see. He played for Columbus and Albany and Columbus. He played 4 games with the Yankees before he went to the Phillies. I'm not quite sure what deal that was. And here was a guy who was always in the World Series with a different team, Lonnie Smith. Fun stuff. Fun to look at those old cards. We didn't have time to get into it as deep as we normally do. Remember this game? Welcome to Your Perfect Home. I highly recommend it. My wife and I play it all the time. I'll tell you some other great games next time or the time after. We have plenty of time, plenty of shows. Thank you for watching. Remember, make your day a great day. And how do you make each day great? By appreciating the world around you and by making the lives of other people better. Have a wonderful day. Remember, when you give love, it comes back to you in greater amounts than you ever gave. So we're going to go now to the show that tells you about all the programs on the McGrath Podcast Network. And I'll see you again right here Saturday mornings, every Saturday morning at 7 a.m. Have yourselves a great day.
Yeah.